Good morning, Lady Bosses. Welcome to Lady Bosses Live Tuesday morning. So happy to be back. So happy to be here. My live button's still blinking, so maybe, Oh yeah, I'm live. It's working. Good morning. Someone's here. We'll give it another minute or two. Wait for a bunch of you to jump on, and then we'll get started. Hope everybody's doing well. Don't know where everybody's from, but southeastern PA right now, it's a beautiful sunny morning. Hey, Linda. Hey, Rachie. I don't know if it's going to stay sunny and beautiful, but right now it's sunny and beautiful. So definitely a day, if you can, get outside. Get outside, get some fresh air, go for a walk. Really good, really a good day. And all of that stuff will be really good for you. There's one person coming, I'm thinking, and somebody else is here. I'm not sure who. I see the little icons, but I don't recognize them all. I always recognize Linda Castles with the big yellow raincoat from when she was traveling. That's awesome. Regina's on. Good morning, Regina. That's my third person. Yes, we'll give it just another minute because I want to open this up. Actually, I'm going to do it even if she's not here. I know she's coming, but she might come later. She'll hear it on the replay. But you know what? When I see it, I want to give a shout out to just some wonderful things that I see you ladies doing. This is not an easy time for anybody. God, if I had a nickel for every time I said or heard that. But I am watching some of you do some really fantastic things. Good morning, Vina. Good morning, Lori. And she's here. This is the one I want to give the shout out to today. It's Lori. So Lori is a teacher. And I saw this on her Facebook timeline, I think yesterday or the day before. But apparently with her students back in the beginning of winter or I don't know exactly when, they put together, and Lori, forgive me if I give misinformation. If I don't say this right, please correct me. But they made these little hibernation boxes and they put in little stuffed bears. And I guess they were going to open them in the spring and take their bears out of hibernation. Well, obviously the kids aren't in school and they can't do that. So Lori went to school, got all those boxes together, and it looked like she put some little treats in each person's box. And for 28 students, she got in her car and drove to 28 houses to deliver those hibernation boxes to those kids. And oh my gosh, to see all the families that were thanking her on her Facebook page, and some of them did videos, and you could just see the excitement in these kids' eyes. They just, they didn't think they were going to get to do that. Some of them may have forgotten it, but it brought so much joy to them. So Lori, thank you for being someone who's really, really thinking hard about bringing joy into other people's lives, because you know what, if you're down, if you're sad, if you need any kind of a pick-me-up, nothing's going to pick you up more than doing something for someone else. So thank you for doing that. So big shout out to you. I think that's awesome. Good morning, Jody. Good morning, Rosie. So, okay. So shout out to Lori. Love to see that. And, I'd like to, as I see it, I'd love to shout out all different women that I see doing great things. So we're talking today about why it is so hard to implement the very thing that you know you need the most. You know, how often have you sat with a really, really terrible headache and all you have to do is get up and go take a pill? But sometimes you just can't. You just sit there and you don't do the very thing that's going to make you better. I don't know if a lot of you do that, but I've done that a lot of times, or I'm laying in bed and I can feel this dull migraine starting. It's like, I know if I get up and take a pill right now, I'm going to sleep better and I'm probably not going to wake up with the migraine. But I lay there and it's because I'm tired and it's because I just can't get moving and I don't do anything. So how often do we do that? So how do we do that? Why is it so hard to actually change and implement the things that we know are going to help us? We stay firmly, just stuck in these old ways and we can't do the things we know we have to do. So, hey, Bunny, good morning. So the reason I talk about this today is because I happened to see a video this week by Mel Robbins. She was talking to a psychologist. And this was an aha moment for her. And if it was an aha moment for her, I thought, wow, this is something worth listening to. And there was some great, great information. Good morning, Liz. So she's talking about why is it so hard to change? So Here's what happens, and I'm going to tell you why it happens. Here's what happens. Think pandemic, okay? You're home and now suddenly your kids are home with you and your husband's home with you. And you come down to the kitchen and the kitchen's a mess because everybody made lunch. Nobody thought to make you lunch, but they did think to leave the mess for you, right? Like how considerate. So no matter how many times you told yourself you're going to react to that differently, you're going to be calm. You know, this is just the way these little people are that you raised. They just don't always think. They're not being malicious, but you told yourself you're going to react differently, but you don't. You totally lose your shit. So why does that happen? Why does that happen no matter how much you say you want to change? I personally went through a couple things this week, and honestly, there have been so many frustrating moments during this pandemic, but for the most part, I haven't had any real problem handling it mentally, emotionally, physically, until this week. And two things hit me this week that hit me hard. One of them was shopping. I mean, I only go out once every couple weeks and grab what I need. But my mom has just been gone crazy being home and really wanted to go shopping. So I took her to Costco on Sunday. And it's funny, a girlfriend of mine wrote a really beautiful Facebook post yesterday about just all the different phases we've gone through with this, how in the beginning people were panicked and all that. And she got to the part where she said, now you go into the store, and this was how I felt at Costco. You feel like you're in this sci-fi movie. You're walking through, everybody's wearing masks, everybody's standing far apart. People won't look at each other. People are walking through the store like zombies. The loudspeaker is constantly reminding you to keep your distance, maintain social distancing, follow the arrows. At Costco, there was a woman there yelling at people, a worker, yelling at people when she saw them getting too close and telling them to get apart. And by the time we got to the checkout, so weird, I don't know why this hit me like this, but it hits me again just talking about it. I looked around the store, and when I saw all of that, it felt so heavy, and I just wanted to cry. It just felt so wrong. It's just what's happened, what's happened to us, what's happened to the world. But it felt so wrong and put me in such a really horrible feeling place. And I'll tell you later when we get to the solutions. I'll tell you later how I dealt with it. And then another thing that happened. My husband and I have a business, and while I make, I have a really decent business with my health coaching, but his business is the bread and butter of what pays the bills. And it's essential work because we work in chemical companies, we work in power plants. So we do repairs and maintenance and installs for critical businesses. And we had a big job coming up in Philly that because of all of this got pushed off. It should have started last month. Now it's going to start next month. But we have a customer in Maine that we've had for a couple years, and it's been very steady business. This company makes these huge robotic shelving units, and we assemble them, and they go into meatpacking plants. So when the plants receive a big order, guy just plugs it all in the computer, and these robotic shelves just robotically pick all the things that they need for that order, put it on a cart, and the cart brings it out to shipping to get it prepared for shipping. So, it's the meatpacking, it's the food industry, it's all essential business, but I don't know if you've been following the news, but an awful lot of meatpacking plants and processing plants are shutting down, or they're operating at 25% capacity because of people getting sick and not being there. So it's really critically hurting our food supply. And as a result, their customers have all just pushed off orders or just said, forget it. So they don't know that they'll need us anymore this year. So a really steady business that was really the only real steady thing we had coming in, maybe disappearing. So that happened. Then we got a call that a guy driving our truck hit a car. And then something else happened. And this all happened yesterday morning, at 9:00. And my stress level, and I don't stress easily, but my stress level was through the roof. And all I wanted to do was have a drink. That's all I wanted to do. It was 9:00 in the morning, was have a drink. So again, I'll tell you later how I dealt with it. Good morning, Amira and Laura. But these are the things we're facing, and how do you deal? How do you deal? And why do we deal with them the way we do? So when Mel Robbins was talking to this psychologist, the aha moment that she realized was that we operate from two parts of our brain. That's it. We operate from the conscious part of our brain and the subconscious part of our brain. So when you're listening to these videos, when you're listening to a podcast, when you're reading a book, when you're doing any of these things, you are operating from the conscious part of your brain, or you're sitting and you're talking to your therapist because you're not thinking about anything else. You have sat and opened your mind up to learn the things you're there to learn. So you're working from the conscious part of your brain. However, the whole rest of your day, you're working from the subconscious part of your brain. When you were little, you were pretty much a sponge, and you were developing the programming in your mind that you were going to be operating from for the rest of your life. You weren't thinking, you were learning everything brand new. And as you were learning, you were developing all this programming. Now we operate from that programming. We don't have to think about 90% of the things we do in a given day, right? Think about going somewhere in your car. You know, you're going somewhere, you're listening to a podcast, or you're thinking about what you need at the store, what you're going to make for dinner when you get home. And suddenly you're where you were going and you have no conscious memory of how you got there, but you got there. And thank God that our subconscious kicks in, because if we had to use our conscious mind to attend to everything we had to do in a day physically, you'd be totally wiped out. You couldn't do it. So thank God our subconscious reacts and takes care of everything. However, the problem is the conscious mind goes offline. Okay? Think of it as computer programming kind of thing. Your conscious mind goes totally offline when you're going through your day and you're dealing with certain situations. The mother comes in the kitchen's a mess because everybody made lunch and left the mess for her. She loses her shit. Why does that happen? It happens because when all that occurs and you walk into that situation, your subconscious mind says, oh, I recognize this. I know what this is and I know how to deal with it. This is when I start screaming and losing it and just ripping everybody a new one. This is what happens. This is how that programming kicks right in. And when it kicks in situations like that, where you know you want to be changing and you want to respond differently, what happens afterwards? You end up shaming yourself. You end up just really being upset with yourself because why can't I do what I need to do? Why didn't I do it? Why did I just react? And again, understanding is the first key in changing anything. First, you have to understand why things are happening, and then you can work on changing them. So when you can understand that, cut yourself some slack. You just reacted the way your mind knew to react. You reacted from that programming that's been set in place. And again, thank God it's there for most of your day. But for situations where it wants to be different, you're not always happy about it. But that's why it's happening. And that's why it's happening the way it does. So what does she suggest? So here's what she suggests. She says, good morning, Kathy. She suggests committing to practice just one conscious moment here and there. So here's what that means. It means that when you're in a situation like that, try and practice one conscious moment, which essentially means just stop for a moment and create some space to give yourself some space to make a conscious decision. Because here's the thing, if you can stand in that moment, if you can give yourself just a moment to really be present, then you've got a shot at making a different choice, right? Now, it's really funny. When I heard all that, I thought, this is stuff I learned years ago in my health coaching practice. We have this thing we do, and we didn't invent it because I Googled it once and people have been doing it and talking about it for years, but it's called Stop, Challenge, Choose. It just means when you're in a situation, try hard to remember to just give yourself a second. Just stop. When you see that mess in the kitchen, just stop. Stop, give yourself space, and give yourself the ability to make a different choice. Okay? When we talk about stop, challenge, choose, that's what we talk about, is stop. And then after you've stopped for a minute, challenge yourself with a little conversation that goes like this. How do I want to respond? What response is going to give me the outcome I want? Because losing my shit is not going to make me feel very good because I'm going to feel like a total failure again because I can't get a grip with this. So how do I want to respond? And then make the choice, then choose. Choose the response that supports the thing you want the most. So stop, challenge, choose. Give yourself a conscious moment to give yourself the opportunity to make a different choice. It's that easily said, and it really is that easily done if you get in the habit of doing it. So try and just give yourself one conscious moment a day. It doesn't have to be all day long. It's not going to happen all day long. Good morning, Teresa. But give yourself that moment to consider the whole situation and make a different choice. So here's what I did. And I've gotten in the habit of doing that. And it's not always perfect. And believe me, it's not even any different to think of the fact that, you're sitting on the sofa watching Netflix, eating Cheetos, and you're looking out the window and it's a beautiful sunny day and you think, I should really get up and go outside. And right away, your subconscious brain kicks in and says, hey, I recognize this situation. This is really nice, just sitting here watching TV and eating Cheetos, and this is what I do. So your subconscious is just going to keep you in your comfort zone. It's not ever going to push you out of it because that programming's there and is just telling you what to do next without you even realizing it. That's how your subconscious works. So you need to take a conscious moment. And then the funny thing is, this comes from Mel Robbins. If you don't know her, she wrote a book called The 5-Second Rule. And if you don't want to read the book, get on YouTube and listen to her TED Talk. It's 20 minutes long, but it's the best stuff I've ever heard. Because when you're giving yourself that conscious moment, you might take the moment, you might think about it and think about what you really want to do to support what you want the most. But sometimes you still can't get yourself off your butt to do that. So her 5-second rule says, as soon as you've made the decision to do it, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And in that 5 seconds, you have not allowed any more conversation to go on in your brain. You have not allowed your subconscious to kick back in and keep you on that sofa. In that countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you have launched yourself off the sofa and out the door before you hit 1. This is the way you get yourself into action, and this is the way you get things done. So try and do that. Try and incorporate it. Now, with the things I was going through, the grocery store, obviously it had me just emotionally wrought when I felt that way. And I won't do this, but I just felt like I could have just sat down on the floor and started crying and just lost it. But I knew I couldn't do that. I knew I couldn't do that because I just didn't want to do that. And I couldn't do that, when you have people you love and you're with, and I was with my mom, you've got to stay strong for people around you. So I knew what to do and I did it. I just took some deep breaths. I just took enough deep breaths until I grounded myself and I felt good enough again to get out of there and then be okay. The other situation where we feel like, maybe our business was all falling apart and I don't know what we're going to do. And I wanted to have a drink at 9 o'clock in the morning. The Stop, Challenge, Choose was pretty easy because my lifestyle right now is like an intermittent fasting lifestyle where I don't eat for 21, 22 hours a day. And then I open a window for about 2 hours to maybe 3 hours. And that's when I eat for the whole day. So my Stop, Challenge, Choose was easy. I stopped a minute and I challenged myself. Like, what do I want? Hey, I want to stay in this lifestyle because I really believe it's healthy. So you know what? My eating window's not open. I can't have a drink. So that made that decision easy. But what I did do was while I was pouring my coffee, I did my little exercises that I do when I make my coffee. I took some deep breaths while I was doing that. And just the movement of my body, the taking the deep breath, and then immediately getting to work, grabbing my coffee, coming right to my desk, and getting to work and taking control of the things that I knew I could control, because you can't control the things that are out of your control, even though we try to anyway. But taking that control put me in a better place. Within an hour, I felt so much better and felt like, okay, talk to my husband. We made a plan. Sometimes you got to pivot and do things a little differently, and it's all good. And the great thing, I don't know how life works for you, but hopefully you have a husband or a friend or somebody who is there for you in a way that, like when my husband and I are here and we're going through a rough time, if it's hitting me real hard, he's the voice of reason. And we can sit and have a conversation. It's like, okay, yeah, it's all okay. And when he's gone through something real crazy, I'm the voice of reason, and somehow we always seem to be able to pull each other out of it. So it's great if you have somebody that you can just bounce things off and just feel like, you can pull each other out. So that's how I've resolved that, instead of sitting down and, having a drink or doing something like that. And that would have made me feel better for a moment, but this made me feel better for the day and just really resolved it. So that's how to do it. That's how to start to actually implement the things you have to do. And right now, you're dealing with so much more than you normally do, so much more fear and panic and stress and frustration and, fear that, are we ever going to get back to normal? Fear, is my family going to get sick? Fear, are we going to lose our whole business? And how many people are going to have their lives destroyed by that? There's so much to think about. So this is a way that you can learn to just create that space to make a different choice and to deal with it a different way, in a way that's going to be healthier and better for you. And if you're good, everybody around you is going to be that much better too, right? And another area that I just want to close with, because this is one that's hitting me really hard, and it's hitting 90% of you the same way. And I know that because I'm seeing the things you say on Facebook. And that's just, I have been getting so angry lately. And I've been getting angry and intolerant at intolerance, if that makes sense. I see so many people being so intolerant of each other. Listen, 4 years ago during the election, I can't even tell you how many friends I hid. And they were friends on both sides of the fence. But when I started seeing hate on either side, I started hiding people. If I saw one comment that referred to those people as being morons or being stupid or whatever, I shut them down and I hid them. I don't want to see that in my life, because what goes in is going to affect you. Bring as much positivity into your life as you can, because all the negativity, all that hate is only going to affect you mentally, emotionally, even physically. So anyway, right now, politics, I hit people. This is the first time ever I've been massively unfriending people. And here's the deal. You might be scared to death for the country to open back up. That's your truth, and we should respect that. You might be so anxious for things to open up because you and maybe many, many millions of people like you are going to lose their whole life if they don't get back to work. Be tolerant of that. Somebody else wants to open up, but they want to open up real slowly. Tolerate that. Somebody else wants to open up, but they just want to open up and get just back to normal immediately. Tolerate that. Listen, ladies, we're all basing the way we feel on our perception of the facts we're being fed. First off, facts is such a funny word, because every one of you know that no matter where you look, all you're seeing is contradiction. Contradiction in the numbers, contradiction in the facts. But it doesn't matter. The truth is that each one of us is coming away with a different perception of what's going on because of that. None of us are right. None of us are wrong. But you know what we do have to do? We have to be tolerant of each other. I can't be angry at you if you want things to open up tomorrow and I don't think that's right. And you can't be angry at me if I think that, or if I think the opposite. We are all coming from a place of our own stress and our own fears. And each one of our perceptions is our own reality. So in all of this, can we just be more kind to each other? And it'd be a great first step to just talk about it a whole lot less on Facebook, because when you start talking about these things that make you so angry, you just start getting people riled up and angry with you. And then people who have contradicting opinions jump in, and then there are fights going on. And let's just leave it off Facebook. Let's just stop talking about it, because you might be just letting out your frustration, and it's not like you aren't free to do that. But just look deeper at what you're creating when you do that. Because if you're creating all this fighting, that fighting is leading to hatred. That fighting is leading to people calling each other stupid, because how the hell can you think we should do that? Why, and you know what? Like I said, remember, we're all just coming from a different perspective, and we have different perception about what reality is right now. So all that being said, let's just be more kind to each other. Let's just do less to stir the pot and to instigate all this frustration that's leading to hateful comments. Let's just be more kind, because this is a terrible time we're in. And I just, if nothing else, let's just be kind to each other. Ladies, that's all I've got, but thank you for coming. And some of you got here really late, so I'm sorry you missed the beginning, but please go back and watch the recording. I hope this helps you. It really helped me to just, to have a better realization of why we have such a hard time, why we have such a hard time changing our behavior. So if this helps you, you made my day and you make this all worth it. So have a great week, ladies. We will see you next week. And again, that shout out to Lori. Thank you for doing something so good for your community and your students. Love seeing that. Okay, ladies, see ya.